It is your instant match reaction for Everton 0, Aston Villa 1. We are here in the Derby Castle. For the moment, I'm joined by Mark Mosey and Paul Daly. We'll have a rotating cast of people, I think, on this podcast, it's fair to say. But yeah, we'll start off with Moyes, new manager, Moyes, but Aston Villa on a 5-game losing streak away from home. Ollie Watkins has gone a few months without scoring, so obviously Ollie Watkins scores. Villa win away from home for the first time in a long time. Some things stay the same, don't they?
Aston Villa winning at Goodison Park is absolutely one of them, isn't it? It feels like we get beat twice at Goodison by them every single season.
We haven't beat them for 9 years in the top flight.
It's crazy. They're no well beaters. I know, that they are a very, very capable outfit, especially this season. But the fact that it's been that long is mental. I am not I am in no manner to accept you being surprised at the Everton 0 element of that scoreline, by the way, because it looks like we could be there till Friday morning and not score a goal, unfortunately. And I think that the chance of Calvert-Lewin has sums up just generally Everton attacking at the moment. As poor as we were going forward tonight, I think in situations like that, you are just hoping that one undeserving moment is going to somehow find you, and it absolutely did. And it was ironically exactly the type of chance that I would have wanted to fall for Calvert-Lewin. You don't want him breaking for own goal. You don't necessarily want him challenging a centre half in the air. You want it to be that kind of snapped low cross and a one-touch finish that he's got absolutely no time to think about. And for him to do what he did and manage to scoop it over the bar was pretty outrageous, really. And it's pretty frustrating night for him, I think, because I thought if I tried to identify weaknesses in Aston Villa's lineup, I'd have gone straight to Tyrone Mings, because for a team who like to play out from the back and pretend that they are comfortable on the ball, he is the absolute worst at doing that. And I think there was probably times where, not to point the finger at Calvert-Lewin here, but we just do not play to that lad's strengths anymore. And we all know the score with him. We had one incredible season with a manager and a winger who understood exactly what he needed. We gave it to him. He showed us the potential, and since then we just haven't been able to replicate it. And I think from an attacking, we could go through the front six of Everton's 10 outfield players and talk about why we have gone, 9 games out of the last 11 without scoring a goal, which is truly outrageous for a Premier League football team. But on a wider note, the main positive I would take away from that is that David Moyes was there. You can't walk away from that stadium without knowing some of the glaring issues that this squad has, and we know we've all just sat around pre-recording talking about some of the players who are set to come back into the fold. But if you're hanging your hat on people like James Garner and Dwight McNeil, this is no stain on their record, but they're not well beaters themselves. Nothing massive is going to change when they are back. But their value increases with every game that they miss at the moment because it's just so stale. And it's a very flippant thing to throw at your football team to say that they are incapable of stringing 4 or 5 passes together. But we genuinely are. And so many of our players are at their weakest when they have the football. And that simply cannot be the case. David Moyes has to find different players, or he has to somehow instill confidence in what he has. And that is his only mantra for the next fortnight. I'm probably at the point now where I think that over the last 18 months, we've probably seen all that we're going to see from the players that we have. It's a very difficult job to say to Moyes, go and find us new footballers in the next fortnight. But depending on the finances that are available, he simply has to, because the lads we've got are not good enough.
Yeah, do you know what? I'd echo quite a lot of what Moyes has said about the quality of player that we got at the moment. Talking about players who can't string passes together. Abdoulaye Doucouré now seems to be trusted by every single manager we've had, but just seeing him on the ball today, the amount of times he give it away, pressing, he's just so slow. It's just not the same player there anymore. I think I'm a lot happier now knowing that, like as Mo said, David Moyes is at the helm, because he's not going to tolerate performances like that. He simply won't. If the players don't perform, he will do something about it. And again, those players had the safety blanket to Dyche and saying, you know, they don't want to play to his standard and his level, and they don't buy into his methods. They've got no excuse now. There's another man who's been here and done it at Everton for 11 years. There's no hiding place for them. And we'll come on to Dominic Calvert-Lewin. For me now personally, I don't want to see him in an Everton shirt again. I feel that strongly. The chance he missed today, I remember the very same fixture last season when he was one-on-one against Emi Martinez, and the exact same outcome. And again, Mo's said the one chance you wouldn't want him to have is running, bearing in on goal as he did last year. You want it falling to his feet where he's got just instant reaction time.
Can't even do that now.
Exactly, and the fact he's lifted it over the goalkeeper from where he was, it's not good enough. So, depending on the next 2 weeks, if we're able to bring in quality, or in Moyes' words, elite players for an elite stadium, bringing in top quality players who can finish, players who can take chances, if we can do that within the next 2 weeks, I would cut my losses with Calvert-Lewin, take what you can get for him, and if he does want to go to Serie A, it's arrivederci off for me. I've genuinely had enough of him. I've had enough. But I do want to say, with Moyes today, I do want to take some positives out of it. It was nice to see James Tarkowski actually try to play the ball across the back, which had a Branthwaite for the change and not immediately launching a diagonal. It was just nice to see some confidence on the ball. And again, I know it'd be nice to have a bit of new manager bounce. It is going to take time. These players, clearly, they're either not good enough, and we've spoken off air about those players that we're talking about, but they're either not good enough or they're very low on confidence. And I think if we give Moyes the time to bring some players in to facilitate that and improve that, and give him the opportunity, because again, he had a day too to prepare for the Villa game today. Let's give him a couple of weeks. Let's see him put his own imprint on the squad, and let's see where we go from there.
We've got Matt Flusk and Dave with us now as well. Does anyone want to go first? Anyone want to add to that, Mark? Go on.
Well, first off, we said about Tarkowski. There must have been about half a dozen times there where he got the ball and he did that little shuffle that he does just before he launches it, and you just saw the gears in his brain go, no, wait, I don't do that no more. And then he played it across the Branthwaite, and I was laughing my head off at it. Overall, obviously, the result speaks for itself, but I thought it was an improvement, even a slight one. I haven't looked at all the stats, just the headline ones. When was the last time we had 50% possession in any game? Do you know what I mean? Like,
Forest, I think we had more than 50% possession, didn't we, on 29th?
Just trying to be point. But I mean, we matched them for chances and all that, all the XG. I would say kilometres ran, tackles, a much big improvement on the last few games we've seen. And a couple of individual performances, I thought they did stand out to me. I got pelters for this off air, but I thought Mikhailenko had his best game since last season. I thought he put in a lot of really, really good tackles on the edge of the box, which spared our blushes, really. Like, that could have been a 4-0 a couple of weeks ago.
He definitely got forward a lot more tonight. I will say that he was a lot more free, got forwards, got a few more crosses in. I'd agree with that. I would. I think that's
a few half decent crosses. I love that one that he played into the box, and he put it on the penalty spot, and no one got it. It didn't quite fall, but that's the kind of thing he can do. And I hope under Moyes, we know that Moyes knows how to coach a fullback. Hopefully, we will see a lot more of that in the weeks to come. But I mean, it's the same old with the likes of Doucouré, isn't it? I'm not sure why Harrison didn't come on for him. The Armstrong, sorry.
I was going to say that. Yeah. 2 Harrisons on the pitch.
I know. Woke nonsense, isn't it? If we can still say that. But yeah, overall, I mean, it's not encouraging. I wouldn't go as far as saying it's encouraging, but like you said, it's going to take time, and if we can see a little bit of a step up like that after a couple of days training, see what happens on Sunday, and then after that we've got a couple of games where you'd hope we're at least getting some points, if not some wins. not some goals. That all depends on who's up front. I wouldn't go as far as Paul there and say that I don't want to see Calvert-Lewin on the pitch again, but that chance at the end, one angle, it looks like a difficult angle for a right-footed striker, but then you see he gets 2 bounces of the ball as it comes to him to set himself. How is he putting that over like that?
That's my issue. It just seems to be like a constant thing with him. The chance in the first half towards the park end where he was setting his body, I understood him not having the power to like put himself behind that. Yeah. But when the ball's falling, as I said, the ball's falling to you that late, you've just got to do everything you can to throw yourself at it and make yourself a nuisance. And it just feels like I've seen the same film over and over again, and I've seen the ending too many times, and I'm just fed up with it now. I want something different. I just want something else.
But you're paying £800 a year to watch it.
Yeah, I think you've got Sean Dyche next to River Trent there laughing his head off there, haven't you, watching that game? Yeah, I agree with Matt there. And we had a little chat in the WhatsApp group about the chance to Calvert-Lewin misses there, which you said it's a little bit more difficult than what many people will look at.
It's not a tap-in.
It's not a tap-in, no. What I said was...
He's on the outside of the goal. It's not quite a tap-in.
If he hits the target, it's a goal. That's the only thing I'd put, yeah. Otherwise, the Wales' #1 goalkeeper, I don't think it's saved it anyway, if it goes towards the goal. Yeah, I mean, I think it's proven to a lot of people this absolute shower of shite that he's took over from. There are too many collective individuals that you look at and think these simply aren't going to do anything for us here. He's got 2 weeks left in the January transfer window. I mean, I don't know if you lads have got any faith in something that's really going to change if we bring somebody in, or we can get somebody of the calibre that we need to change things up here. Not difficult.
We can't even do a domestic loan.
Well, that's it. Exactly. We can't do that. So with the I'll let you go now, Rob, because I know
Rob Vera's here. Hello, Rob.
Howdy, boys. I'm very first and foremost. It's just so lovely to be around people I love again. It's good to see you guys.
Down with the positives, will you?
I know. I've had about
some players, really.
Yeah. So I've had about 3.5 hours sleep. So most of my analysis tonight is going to be I would say, vibes based, if you will. But look, I think tonight was not what I expected. I think that I got in there tonight and I thought the crowd would be a little more up than they were. The Villa fans, who of course we were right next to, were in great voice for most of the match. Fair play to them. But I think that some of that was fueled, and this is, I told Matt this morning when we were coming from the airport that I am very much in Moyes. I trust he's got to have time. We all are aware of the squad, but I did think that kind of just throwing out the same basic starting 11 that we've seen provided a very narrow path for a successful evening for Moyes, because one, I thought that to a certain degree played a part in the crowd being a little flat. Like I think if you just, and again, it's a quandary because it's not like there's a lot of great options on that bench, but I also think that by not changing something up, maybe Patterson starts, maybe and by the way, Ashley Young was god-awful. Just, of course, he knew I was here, so he was terrible as he is anytime I'm around. But, I thought that Moyes had a kind of a narrow path to success tonight. Now, if these same players go out there and win tonight, then it's a manager bounce. Moyes has come in and made some difference. But as Matt, we talked about before the match tonight, like we kind of suspected there's a good chance we're going to kind of see the same thing. And what can you do in 2.5 training sessions and whatever?
The opposition into account here, the Champions League side.
Well, of course, and I think
lost 5 away games in a row, though.
Well, and if you wanted to know tonight when I had my doubts, it was absolutely when I saw the Sky Sports graphic about them having lost 5 in a row. But look, here's the situation. I think one, it's odd because tonight was his first night back, and so he doesn't need to send any messages, you would think. But this almost felt like one of those classic matches where the manager is sending a message to the board and saying, "Look, I'm starting these guys, and look at what little I have to work with."
2 goalies on the bench.
So Moyes. Isn't
Yeah.
it,
Oh.
that? So Moyes.
But the thing that was the thing though that was semi encouraging about Moyes after the match. One, the update on the Armando Broja that I saw, he is out 10 to 12 weeks, and Moyes came out and said that they're going to try to send him back to Chelsea, and that they hope that opens up a loan spot. And he had at least 2 other quotes where he said, "We absolutely have to bring in people." So I think he's not taking this job without some assurances about some additions. As far as what we saw tonight, I never want to go as, you never want to go full Paul Daly, but
Go full Paul Daly.
But I will tell you that if I was going to watch one of my final matches at Goodison and I was going to watch that, I couldn't have been sat with anyone better than Mike Diasha, who the two of us really diagnosed for 90 full minutes what is wrong with this thing. Dominic Calvert-Lewin's entire Everton career was sort of summed up. It was a microcosm of that was tonight. You can say that the chances were not as gilt-edged as I think some will frame it, but he had at least, I counted at least 3 chances in this game that he's just got to put away one of them, and that's the thing is, I'm not expecting miracles, but we always seem to, with Calvert-Lewin, it's just, at what point does a quality striker who's been around this long not at least score a goal he shouldn't score every once in a while, because he certainly doesn't score the goals he should score. And so I think that was really frustrating. And frankly, I don't want to do that thing where I question motives, but he looked like he was going about 85% speed tonight at various times. Now, I think some of that was strategic in that they weren't asking the players to go with full press, because I think in the first half the idea was we don't want to create these holes that, of course, eventually got created when, on the counter when they score. So I want to give them the benefit of the doubt. I saw what they were trying to do. And then the irony of all of this is that for about 90% of the match, we were second to everything. We couldn't string 3 passes together. We were clearly the second best, and yet I counted at least a handful of chances that ought to have resulted in at least 1 goal tonight, if not a decisive goal. But the fact that Villa looked so comfortable with a 1-0 advantage for the vast majority of the second half, and at no point did it feel like we were going to score until the big chance near the end, and the fact that you had people leaving a good 15 minutes early in a 1-goal game, I think tells you everything you need to know about what this squad is. In addition to Calvert-Lewin, I thought the defense was hanging on for dear life for most of it. It's sad when Mikolenko is probably your best defensive player tonight, because Branthwaite and Tarkowski, I think Branthwaite had the mistake for the goal in terms of the turnover, did he, or did I?
I personally think the goal all comes from not winning the ball back.
I think Branthwaite's got to win that, to be honest. I'll be honest, in the middle of the park.
And Tarkowski, they both.
If you look at it from the angle where you are in the Gladys Street, if you obviously see it a little bit closer, it literally needs to just stick his left foot out and he just takes the ball. He's in the wrong position to do so, but it goes past him.
It's one of them, I think,
really close to him.
Where everyone commits so high, you've either got to win the ball or foul them.
I
for it.
I think Branthwaite gets unlucky with a bad ricochet, and it goes over him. And Imran Ndiaye's right there. All he has to do is just stand on the ball like he's stopping a quick free kick, and he jumps back. He just doesn't want to get stuck in, and then they run off with it. I would put it on Ndiaye. He could have shut that down there and then. I think Branthwaite gets unlucky with the ricochet as it goes over.
Anyone else we can blame for it?
Moyes. I think Ian Moan's got lots of answer for on that goal.
Who has?
Ian Moan.
The most consistent thing, though, about this group, regardless of the manager, when I see him on the pitch, is how little movement there is out there. How often I have to watch a center half or Gay standing out there, waiting for someone to move. I mean, the problem is not just how much that creates sort of this vacuum of energy. It's that the idea of all of that off-ball movement up front has to at least somewhat be the idea that you are you're creating some chaos with the defense by at least forcing them to account for some of that movement, maybe creating a passing lane. But if you've got 3 or 4 or 5 guys just kind of standing there, well marked, and you're just hoping that you can kick it and we might can thread a needle of a pass, it feels constantly, and this is the feeling I think we've all felt for the last few years, like 10 things have to go right in succession for us to score a goal. We just have got to generate we have to generate a little bit more chaos, whatever you want to call it. We have to unnerve the defense at least a little bit, but being a counterattacking side without any counterattacking pace is just a horrible
the
recipe.
scientific term for what you're proposing is get it in the fucking mixer.
Yeah, get it in the mixer.
Well, that's why we've got a manager there who initiated his career with us, like doing that sort of thing, because we had a lot of crap. I was said on the other day on one of our shows, how would you compare this side that he's taken over now to the one that he took over in 2002? And
That was 11.
I found it particularly difficult to sort of think, there's probably a little bit of both going in there if you're going to mix it up. But, well,
I'm just thinking, like, you comparing the two sides, I would still go out and sign Joseph Yobo tomorrow.
now, literally now. Yeah, I mean, he wasn't there when he took over, though, was he?
It was his first signing, wasn't it?
Was it? Yeah, from Marseille on loan. I do have a lot of sympathy with Moyes today, because if we all get a little bit carried away with the for him or against him when we first found out he was going to be the manager, it's like there's outrage, or there's, do you know what, I'm glad to have him back. I can't stand, oh, this is lovely, we've got a manager back that used to be an Everton manager. I can't stand that, but I felt a little bit nostalgic around it all when he came in. With him around Baines and all that, all the lovely, nice photos, but when it comes to it, you can see why, and I didn't think I'd be saying this, you can see why Sean Dyche had issues here on a much deeper level than what we thought, because when you've got another manager coming in, albeit he'll have his faults, Moyes, given what he did, basically, aside from his 1 year at West Ham, since he left us, he hasn't really done anything else, has he? You can see what...
That's harsh. His whole second spell at West Ham, he got him to Europe three times.
That's what I'm saying, that one season with West Ham where he went and won the trophy, that's what I'm saying.
He got him into Europe 3 times.
Yeah.
It's quite sobering, really, when we look at the job. I think tonight, really, it's
60% win ratio.
acknowledgements of the job that Moyes does have on his hands. And I know I completely get what Rob's saying, but even tonight, I think this is how starved we've been with players moving off the ball, where I actually thought we moved quite well off the ball tonight, but I think that's how bad it's been under Dyche, where it's...
Maybe it was the angle I was sitting at. It just didn't.
No.
I think like I agree. Like I was saying this to Moyes on the way down. Like I feel like we just play in like a square around the edge of the game. It's like the centre backs get it, and then they go out to the fullback, and then the fullback will go direct to the winger down the line. Inevitably playing a pass to the winger or the striker that they are 30-70 in favour of winning the ball, and then they might get it and they might launch it into the box. But like anything that requires us going into that square, which is intricate, or requires the player that you're playing the pass to have like a good touch, or like do a feint and like wriggle away from pressure, like there's nobody in there who can do that. So we just play out around the edges of the game, because it's the easy pass constantly. Like
there's a lot of passing of the responsibility.
Yeah.
And people talk about increased possession and things tonight, which I'm sure is probably right, but I see, Tarkowski and Branthwaite, fair enough, not just launching it and trying to, create from the back. But when I see Idrissa Gueye and Margala come and get the ball, doing the same job, then going back to the centre half, like, I'm not one of those people who's going to say stop going back, because I'm here for patient build-up play when it's needed. But there is no one. Excuse me. There is no one at the spine of the team who is willing to take accountability for how we move up the pitch. We're just watching the replay of the goal back now, and we stand by the fact that 6 players were mentioned there, because any one of them could take the blame. But I don't think there's anyone in the spine of the team who will step forward and say, I'm going to dictate how this move happens, how the next 20-30 minutes happens, how we score a goal. And I don't really know how that changes. I found myself bizarrely tonight thinking, do we need to just go more direct? If we're going to put the core up there with Calvert-Lewin and create this enormous gap between the two holding midfielders, who again do the same job, and Decore and Calvert-Lewin, do we just put better up there? Do we go 4-4-2? Are we? What are we? I found I watched us at 1-0 down, 4 minutes on the clock. Pickford, Tarkovsky, one of the centre midfielders playing intricate triangles in our own 18-yard box. Long term, we want to be one of those teams, don't we? Where like we play around other sides and we ole as we get out of ridiculous positions in our own corner flag. We are not that side. We're shit. Like we should not be doing those things. Play percentage footy because we just do not have the footballers to do anything greater than that. And I think again, the one positive we say about all of this is that David Moyes, for whoever you may have wanted to come in or whatever faults you think he has, he does not strike me as a man who would sit back and allow players to hide. And I think so many of our in enormous inverted commas, better players think that they can hide on a football pitch. Yeah, absolutely. And in the real sense of the word of leaders, we simply do not have any. We have older players, but it is simply not the same. And yeah, Jordan Pickford is probably the one man who will, try and act in some form of captain role, but we need more of them. They absolutely need to be outfield players, of course, and I like to think that David Moyes is the man who can do that. There was never going to be an immediate change, but the one thing he gives us, for the people who say that that's exactly a Dyche performance, you were on a one-track path to demise under Dyche, and David Moyes offers us the potential to at least change that. And for what it's worth, I do think it's the right appointment and the right person to come in. But we're at the end of January now, and we're already scouring around during the game at how Wolves and Leicester are getting on, and
they got beat, right?
yeah, up the Toffees. But I don't want the next 3 months of being an Everton fan to focus around how bad other teams are doing.
It's gonna though.
It is. But we need to break that cycle, and I think Moyes shares the same shame that we do of the team that we've become, and I have to believe that, and have to believe that he's willing to change that.
Any more final thoughts? Everyone looks really glum.
Can we do ref watch?
Go on. I've not seen any of these decisions back again yet, so I'm not really feel like I can comment on them. But
Go on, let's go.
The two specific.
Go on, Dermot.
The two specific. Well, do I have to put on a fake accent? The two specific penalty shouts that Keith Tomlin, who's stranded down south,
Very reasonable man.
a very reasonable man who loves referees.
Yep.
Obviously, he was watching it live on whatever goddamn channel it was on, and he was absolutely adamant. And I think both were checked briefly by VAR, and he was absolutely adamant that they were both penalties, but because they're on corners, and I think the referee had a word on one of the corners because Branthwaite was getting manhandled. I must have seen it about half a dozen times. Like, they were just taking liberties in the box, and it got to the stage where they knew that they were getting away with it, so they were just royally taking the piss. But twice, at least twice, they were just throwing our players to the floor. And the one with Lindstrom where he's jumped to head it and he's in mid-air, and the Villa player just runs in, two flat hands, and pushes him. If that's not a foul, what is?
That was the one I thought maybe could have been in the ground. Like,
It's just, it beggars belief.
Tarkovsky was penalised earlier on the season against Newcastle, wasn't he, for something very similar, for having his arms all over, I think it was Jacob Murphy.
Yeah.
Or Tonali even, sorry, yeah. I'm just, again, I thought the referee tonight was really poor. In fact, Anana was on a yellow card. The tackle in the middle of the park, I probably wouldn't give that as a second yellow, but the fact Jordan Pickford's coming away with a booking just for asking the question,
Well, as Mo said offline, if it's a foul, it's a second yellow, because Mangala's breaking free and he's ready to start a counter attack. So you can't blow up there and not give a second yellow. And I think he's bottled it because he's a new young referee. I think he's just bottled it.
who was it? What's that free?
genuinely
Straight
couldn't
out
tell
of
you.
school, wasn't he? Not 14, yeah.
Just another raffle winner. And
There we go. Let's just blame him.
He was doing his Duke of Edinburgh.
But
all his
also,
fault.
for the last half an hour when we're actually pushing for an equaliser, it felt like every time we got to the final third, he'd just
blew.
go, oh yeah, let's blow up for them. It just broke up every single one of our attacks.
Oh, can I actually have a slight mini rant about this as well? Ezri Konsa goes down in the box, so the game doesn't stop. Emi Martinez throws the ball out for a throw-in, so thereby surrendering possession to Everton. And the referee gives a drop ball to the goalkeeper. What the fuck is that? What's going on there? Seriously, it's basic rules of the game, and Even the referees don't abide by them. It's just so frustrating.
I mean, if you take all of this kind of collectively, all this feedback collectively between the decisions from the referee and the chances that we just could not bury, then, the really glasses half full squinty way of looking at this is that we're not that far off. But I think, yeah, we weren't far off of getting something tonight, whatever. But I think that the thing that most comforts me, to kind of build on what Moyes was saying about Moyes, is that I think one thing that would be tough about bringing in someone completely new to Everton into this situation would be the fact that when a new manager comes in, sometimes they feel the compulsion to have to say things are maybe better than they are because they're trying to build some bridges, whatever. Whereas I think Moyes, in every public availability he's had so far, has made it a point to talk about the fact that the players simply haven't been good enough, and or like he did tonight, saying there must be additions. Not, we hope that there is, and I sometimes miss the classic David Moyes of, well, I don't know if that we could ever sign another player ever again, but
we'll keep on looking until the last minute. But that is heartening to know that they will be.
He spoke.
Oh my God.
Well, and maybe that is. Well, yeah, and maybe this amounts to nothing, but it must amount to something in the next couple of weeks. But the fact that the manager tonight after the game, I think, saw this game very clearly for what it was in terms of the lack of quality, and spoke in definitive terms about the fact that there will be additions and that there must be additions. To me, maybe that's the difference in having absentee ownership that is just dead, is just a zombie walking around, and new owners who have every financial incentive in the world to make sure that Everton stay in the league. So I'm confident something will be done, but because I don't want to do, Everton, who knows? I want to give, if I'm going to give Moyes the chance and say right now that I'm going to back him and I'm going to trust him to see this clearly and to make good decisions, I've got to at least give the new ownership, especially given how relatively decisively they acted on this, I've got to give them some benefit of the doubt that they can be a difference maker in the market, and we'll see where we go from there.
3 cheers for Alexander Isak.
There we go. What a way to wrap it up. Cheers to Moyes, Rob, Dave, Matt, and Paul. That has been your instant reaction to Everton 0, Villa 1. Rob, you're back on Sunday for the Tottenham game, double header this week.
Yeah, I know how to pick them, don't I? I'm excited to actually be here on a trip where I can go to 2 matches, which I may be rethinking that sentiment here after I get some sleep, but it is sad that my 4-game winning streak at Goodison was snapped tonight. Even I could not overcome the squad. The new manager bounce couldn't overcome the squad. David Moyes couldn't overcome the squad. All the King's horses and all the King's men could not put this bullshit back together again. And so, yeah. Oh, and by the way, I'm glad you mentioned that. I want to say that I didn't think that I could have a lower opinion of Jack Harrison than I had before tonight, but yet he found a way.
He's something else in person, isn't he?
He really is. And then the final thing I'll say is that my final bit on Calvert-Lewin's chance at the end there was the exact. You should have seen my face. I did this. And you can't see it. For the radio element we have, for the podcast element, I kind of bunched my fist together and in rage, and my face just made this face. And I felt just like Captain Kirk in Wrath of Khan when he's yelling, "Gone!" when Calvert-Lewin blew that chance at the end. And I thought, you know what? If I'm going to see a loss, at least I get to, have the full Everton experience. Yeah. And I had it tonight, and I can't wait to get some sleep, and hopefully it'll be a better day tomorrow.
We should use your clenched fist on the "Once Everton has touched you" banner, probably more.
The new season tickets.
Yeah.
It's more like "Where on the doll did Everton touch you?" But yes.
When you go back Monday?
No, Tuesday.
You can run on the pitch. Literally just run on the pitch.
Just run on the pitch. What are they going to do?
I'd love to see you on the pitch. Kicking off.
Give the people what they want.
We'll wrap it up there. You might see Rob on the pitch on Sunday. Who knows? But yeah. Cheers everyone for listening. Hope the Toffees will catch you guys soon.